An interesting thing. I work. Um, I work a lot these days. I mean, a lot. specifically, specifically the last couple of months, things have really been ramping up on my other job, which oddly doesn't pay nearly what my day job does, right? But it's where I like to be, and I believe it's the key to where I want to go. What's the point of me saying that? Well, in my in my moments of downtime, when I'm not occupied with one job or the other, um, is my leisure time. You know, where I want to unwind a little bit, relax some, maybe learn a little bit. And you know, if I can blend learning a little bit and relaxing a little bit in my off time with one of my two jobs, then awesome. Um, Specifically, um, if y'all don't know, my second job is me pursuing a career as a investment professional. I was told the term is properly, which I dig it. It works because there's no telling where you end up. You know, fund manager, CTA, retail. There's all kinds. There's all kinds, man. So you know, there's a couple channels I watch on here that I believe sort of overlap that a little bit. Now, in the case of the Josh Galt, guys like the Josh Galt and and Shafe, and actually Erelon trading a little bit, um, the way that they trade and see the markets after what I've seen is a little bit different than me, and you know, and that just has to do with where my own training has been, and where my being mentored has led, and and how I just naturally see market volatility playing out. The definition of volatility, of course, is price change. I mean, don't read too much into it. I think the media plays up the word like volatility as if it's some sort of a bad, um, as if it's some sort of a nasty thing, like it spins out of control because it bounces so much. I think there's even an equation about how when volatility hits a certain amount, while interest is a certain amount, you can expect the catastrophe. But that's getting a little too that's getting a little more complicated than what I wanted to get at. But the idea, of course, is that without volatility, it's pointless to actually quote unquote invest into anything, because why do you purchase into anything if you intend to resale it at a later time? Because the value will increase, or the value will not decrease, is what would happen with your cash after inflation. So, with that being said, all that really silly, boring stuff, I take in the Josh Galtz, one of his later videos about an important silver update, where you know what's important about silver is that he was exiting his position because it hit some certain price levels that he was looking for. And one of the first commenters was Cosmos Gato, and that sort of set the stage for Josh's reaction. Now, what I want to do, I want to zoom in on this a little bit and just exactly try to figure out what Cosmos Gato is talking about. Because again, I was how do I put this? Again, I'm in my leisure time, and if I can overlap learning a little something, then great. What Cosmos Gato has here is key questions. If you thought after plus 25 it would revisit 22, and you would sell at 22, why not exit at plus 25? This is not me with hindsight. This is what you believed. I'm just saying with your profit thesis, maybe you could have played it better. You should always review trade management. We'll keep it at part one here. Um, Josh replies that he was looking for 25.30 on SLV. Now, don't get hung up here about it being SLV. the way that I see what Cosmos is saying is that if it's hovering around his 25 target and he's looking to exit at 22, why wait for 22 and not just bank the profits, is how I read that. Now, again, at the risk of getting boring here, Josh, of course, in the past with this silver trade, again, don't get hung up on the fact that it's silver. He hasn't had trouble being very discretionary in how he worked the trade. So I don't really see a problem with really banking it if his gut was feeling that it was going to go down and he wasn't going to hit his ultimate target. But I mean, this is all after the fact now. I mean, obviously, I haven't checked the chart, but it is what it is, right? Now, the second thing that the Josh Galt says here is, I couldn't have forecasted that silver would drop $1.50 in 16 hours. That is correct. However, this particular product has just absolutely ridiculous volatility. It's not unheard of for this product to easily have 5% days. And it seems to me like whenever it has a 5% day in our favor, it's great and we're a genius. But when it moves 5% against us, we couldn't have seen it. It doesn't make sense. The way I see it, if it'll give 5%, then it's going to take 5%. So I don't really know. Now let's move on to section 2. What will you do if it gaps your order? Silver opens at 21.50, hold ad, realize the loss. What Cosmos is saying, if I understand that correctly, is that if Josh puts in an exit order for 22 while the market is closed, but it opens at 21.50, it's actually opened below his order, and that bid will never get hit because it's going to be higher than where the market actually is now. So it ends up just sort of outrunning him, and it's sort of like having a higher target than where it'll ride. And his question is, hold ad, realize the loss. What I think, and I'm not in Josh's wheelhouse, I think that his plan is to exit, or one, he's already exited. And two, I don't know necessarily that his targets are actually programmed. I don't really know, because there's so many details in a trade that look at how long this video is already. There's so many details in a trade. It takes you 20 minutes to even explain, and you're still going to miss stuff. And then it sort of spins out of control from there. I don't know. We'll talk about more of this stuff later, but I just saw Cosmos's questions as being somewhat fair, and I actually wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind hearing the specific answers from Josh about these. If it would be different if I posted the questions instead of Cosmos, I don't know, but that would be it. I mean, what would be your process, Josh, if it did open below your exit? Did you hit? I don't know. For the longest time, I had this policy of, after a deal, never looking back. And I had learned that from my old man dealing with coupons. Like, if you spend this much on a product, you never want to look back, because you'll see that somewhere else it was a good deal and you'll drive yourself crazy. Well, that policy ended up working against me in my trading. My new policy, of course, is, I make a trade, I do something, or I'm going into it. Man, I'm up one side and down the other with it, from just all the details that I could possibly think of just mapping the whole thing out. And then after it, looking back, you know, there's really is no need to get specific on actual trades, because again, there are so many intricate details, and it's difficult to think of everything when you're describing where your risk is or where you're going to get out at, and then all the while being aware of where your audience base is at. But again, we'll have more on this later, and hopefully I can get a hold of I'll get a hold of somebody who knows more about this stuff than I do. But I would like to think, everything being said, I would like to think that we're all friends here, but that's, I don't know. I want to see you do well. I want to see Cosmos do well. I want to see everybody do well on here. And I don't want to see anybody getting hurt or whatever. That's all. And I don't mean emotionally. I mean financially. Emotionally, you can't do anything about it. I do think, of course, that it is a bad idea. It's a bad policy to get free advice off of YouTube or advice from anyone else. I mean, when it's your, no, I'm talking to the audience here, and you know, when it's your money, it's your money. You know, and you got to be careful. And nobody's going to care about your money as much as you do. You always got to keep that in mind. And a lot of the people that you're listening to want to separate you from your money, because that's what they do. All right, that's what I got. Hopefully that's cool. I don't know. It'd be cool if, I don't know. I'd like to hear the answer to those questions. That's all. Y'all be good, and we'll see you.